WCTCAM.com. Jersey moves fast. Join the show that keeps you one step ahead. Jersey Central with Bert Barron on the new Talk Radio 1450 WCTC.
Well, good morning to you. It's 7:09. It's hour number 2 of Jersey Central here on WCTC. We've got 37. We got some light drizzle, not too much, maybe some little wet snow earlier on, but that's out of the way now. In fact, the drizzle is going to get out of the way, too. We'll have some sunshine, and we'll get to the mid-50s later today. Full forecast is coming up. Another traffic update, too, from Tom Colangelo, who is keeping an eye on a very serious issue. 287, 440 Turnpike, right around there. We do have a debris spill, which is causing all kinds of trouble. And we'll get the latest on that coming up in just a few moments. Well, there is a brand new book that offers advice from successful people known as Firestarters. And what they really are serial doers. And the book shares some information about what it takes to start, create, and even disrupt. I like that part. All with the goal of realizing dreams and to spark fire versus simply fanning the flames. And I want to welcome in the co-author of this book. She herself is a serial entrepreneur and educator. It is Kathy Palokoff, and she joins me to talk about the brand new book called Firestarters, How Innovators, Instigators, and Initiators Can Inspire You to Ignite Your Own Life. Good morning to you, Kathy. How are you today?
I'm great. Great. Thank you.
I like the premise of this book, and it kind of begs the question that, is there a winner that exists in all of us, Kathy? Is everybody a fire starter, or is it something that some people are just born to succeed?
No, it's really not a born at all. It's a combination of who you are, but also situations in your environment. So all of those work together. I personally think that everybody has an inner fire starter inside of them. I think if you don't end up being a fire starter, you're still great. So it's not like you have to be one, but I think a lot of us really do want to light and ignite ourselves into doing something bigger than what we're doing right now.
What motivated you, Kathy? Was it successful people around you that maybe inspired you, or what was it that kind of got things going in your life, to your point today, where you're a serial entrepreneur?
Well, I became a serial entrepreneur when I was 48. Before then, I had worked for companies, and I really wanted to chart my own destiny. And then when I got into it big. I didn't even serial. I did multiple companies at the same time. And I always had a real hard time explaining what I did. And somebody once said to me, well, Kathy, you're just a fire starter. And I was, that's cool. I want to own that. But I had no clue what it really meant. And then I started looking around, and then I hooked up with my co-authors who were equally interested. And we wanted to ask two questions, which was, one, who are fire starters? And two, the question that you asked in the beginning, can anyone become one? So that's we did a bunch of research. We talked to these crazy, wonderful, wonderful people around the world. And then we wrote a book.
I can't tell you how good it does my heart to hear you say at 48 was when you really hit your stride and realized your success was there. I turned 50 yesterday, and when people tell me that, oh, you're too old for this, and that ship has sailed for you, and that window closed, when I hear from you say at 48, I can't tell you how good that makes me feel, Kathy.
Well, first of all, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Great. I would sing, but you really don't want to hear that. But I have to tell you, in the book, there was one woman, Maya Penn, who started her first company when she was 8. And she's 17 right now. She has 2 million TED Talk views. But on the other end of the spectrum, there is Jerry Uberly, who was a speech pathologist and then went to China about 100 times, started, how's this for a big idea, the World Academy for Women in China, and at 80 years old just started the same thing in Nepal. So I don't think age is the factor here at all. There are a lot of other factors, but age is not it.
I agree completely. Let's talk about a couple of specifics if we could, Kathy. Talk about accelerating success. Everybody wants to be as successful as possible, as quickly and as early and as young as possible. What are some things you could share about accelerating success for people?
Well, accelerating success has a bunch of factors involved in it, and those are really keeping focused on what your mission is. So not sort of getting sidetracked. One of the factors I like the most, though, is collaboration. is that if you want to accelerate your success, you got to do it with other people. Nobody gets there alone, and that was a very, very common theme of all the research and the fire starters. You have to have really not only people you collaborate with, but also supporters. And what you really need to do is you need to minimize your extinguishers in your life. So I like that one a lot. And then, other factors are, actually having competition. Constructive competition keeps us all going. You're in a business where you're always looking at the ratings, right? And you know what your competitors are doing, and you're always working a little harder to keep above them. So competition is another thing that actually accelerates success.
On a daily and weekly basis, you're absolutely right. And you mentioned about just surround yourself with successful people. I've heard that so many times over the years that when you associate with people that experience success and they've done some things in their life, it's very contagious for you, and it kind of helps get you going on a very similar path there. But if it was that easy, Kathy, why doesn't everybody do it? Why can't I say, well, I'm going to do what Bill Gates did and I'll be just like him, or I'm going to do what Warren Buffett did and I'll be the next Warren Buffett? If it were that easy, anybody could do it, right?
Well, there's a couple factors that we found. One of the factors was something we call that is called cognitive convergence. And that factor is about not giving up but always learning. So really successful fire starters are failures. They have definitely failed multiple times in their life. But what they do is they learn from what they failed at. They also, by the way, learn from their success. And then they keep on moving forward but taking that knowledge with them. So I think one of the things that happens is that people do give up. The other thing, though, is you don't have to become Bill Gates. To be a fire starter, you can be a fire starter in your own world. You can be a mom at home who takes on the school district because you just don't think that they're providing education, or a musician who, just will never give up their music and keeps on going. I'm a serious Bruce Springsteen fan, and if you look at Bruce's history, he wasn't successful at the beginning. He became who he is and that. So I don't think you need to set your goal on being the ultimate, but what you need to do is be the fire starter inside of you. My favorite fire starters in this book are not the famous people. They're the ones who you wouldn't recognize their name, and then you read their story and you realize the contribution they made to their community and to the world, but most importantly to yourself. I mean, everybody wants to leave a legacy, right?
Of course.
They want to, yeah.
And great use of Bruce Springsteen, too, on a New Jersey radio station. Very well played. That's nice,
hey, I'm
nice
going to
work.
see him in a couple of weeks, so I'm really happy.
Nice work for you. And yes, 2 records into his recording contract, they were ready to drop him. I said, listen, we got to sell some records and have some hits here, or this ain't going to work out. And what if he gave up after his second album, right? It's a great example there, Kathy.
Well, he just, every time I go to his concerts, he really moves me. And one of the things I also love about his concerts is that he plays the old, but he's always fresh and new.
You're right.
And I think that's another quality of a fire starter. And he also has, you're in one of his concerts, and what do you see? You have a grandmother that I'm in,
right.
a kid, a grandchild, and they're all there because the passion is there. Anyone who's been to his concert, it's there's this magic going on, and I think there's a magic about fire starters. I think when you meet one. I by the way, when you said in the beginning about instigators, one of the things in this book is a bunch of exercises in the back, and one of the quizzes is to figure out if you're an innovator, instigator, or initiator. And I'm hearing an instigator in you. Am I right on that?
I love a good revolution every now and then, Kathy. So I love kind of shaking the tree every now and then and kind of stirring things up once in a while. You could tell in my attitude, right?
Yeah, I can, but you're also from New Jersey, so, it's hard to differentiate.
I'm all about attitude then, exactly. One last thing that I wanted to just talk to you about. With every fire starter comes along an extinguisher. Are these bumps in the roads? Are these doubters? Are these naysayers? Are these setbacks of various sizes? The important thing is to just keep working through those, right?
You're absolutely right, and an extinguisher can be a situation, but it can also be a person. So we always have people in our lives who are the voice says, you can't do it, you're going to fail, or, or even they're being helpful. Have you really thought about this and that? And what you really actually need is two things. One is you have to surround yourself with supporters, and then you have to have strategies in place to not let those extinguishers get to you. One of the things that people really believe really strongly is that money is an extinguisher. I've heard that over and over from small business people or entrepreneurs. If I had money, I would be able to do something. And what's really interesting is while money is a fuel, and we talk about fuels, and money is definitely a fuel. If you have money, things can be easier. It is not the common factor that makes people a fire starter.
You're
there are
right.
lots of people who don't have it, and they're able to do it.
You're 1,000% right. The book, again, is called Firestarters, How Innovators, Instigators, and Initiators Can Inspire You to Ignite Your Own Life. And, Kathy, where can we find this book? How do we purchase a copy of it?
Well, you go to Amazon and you go into the book category. You type in Firestarters. It will come up right next to Stephen King. You can buy both books and, read Stephen King and this book at the same time and enjoy yourself in the warmth and hope spring actually comes.
Yeah, it'll get here. Sounds like a terrific read, Kathy. I want to thank you so much for your time this morning. Kathy Palokoff, a serial entrepreneur and educator of this and co-author of this brand new book, Firestarters. Thank you so much, Kathy. Very inspirational speaking with you today. Continued success, all right?
Thank you so much. You take care.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. All right, Jersey Central Traffic.